The history of Poland is one of resilience, of a nation that has stood upon the precipice of erasure time and time again, only to defy the forces that sought to unmake it. Among the many trials that Poland has faced, few were as insidious, as unrelenting as the long shadow of Germanization. It was not a single event, nor a passing cruelty, but a centuries-long campaign, a slow and calculated attempt to consume a people, to strip them of their language, their traditions, their identity. Yet, though the storm raged, Poland endured. Though the weight of foreign dominion bore down upon it, the Polish soul was never extinguished. For every law that sought to silence its tongue, Poles whispered their language in secret. For every school that forbade its history, families told their children the stories of their forebears. For every attempt to erase Poland from the map, its people carried their nation in their hearts. The first tremors of Germanization were felt in the medieval era, when the Teutonic Order, cloaked in the righteousness of the cross, sought to subjugate the lands of Poland and Lithuania. They came not as missionaries of faith, but as architects of conquest, wielding both the sword and the doctrine of cultural replacement. In the lands they seized, they imposed their language, their laws, their customs, and sought to crush the Slavic peoples beneath the weight of their dominion. Yet, even in the face of this early onslaught, Poland fought back. The Battle of Grunwald in 1410 was not merely a military victory. It was a triumph of a people defending their heritage, a defiant stand against those who sought to erase them. The defeat of the Teutonic Order did not end the Germanization efforts, but it proved that Poland would not kneel, that it would not surrender its identity without a fight. As the centuries unfolded, the threat of Germanization evolved. The rise of the German-speaking cities, particularly in Silesia, Pomerania, and Prussia, brought with them waves of settlers and merchants who, over time, sought to impose their culture upon Polish lands. The Polish nobility, steadfast in their traditions, resisted assimilation, ensuring that the Polish language and customs remained the lifeblood of the Commonwealth. But the tides would turn in the late 18th century, when the Partitions of Poland delivered vast swathes of its land into the hands of Prussia. Here, Germanization took on a cruel new face, not one of gradual cultural encroachment, but of systemic oppression. Frederick the Great saw Poland not as a nation, but as a mistake to be corrected. Under Prussian rule, German was enforced in administration, in education, in public life. Polish children were taught not in their native tongue, but in the language of their occupiers. Names were changed, traditions outlawed, a deliberate campaign waged to turn Poles into Germans. But Poland did not yield. Secret schools emerged, known as the Tajny Komplety, where Polish children learned their true history, their true language, in defiance of the iron hand of Prussian rule. The struggle of Michał Drzymała, who resisted Germanization by living in a wagon when denied the right to build a home, became a symbol of quiet but unbreakable resistance. Prussia sought to bury Poland beneath a flood of German culture, but the Polish people refused to drown. The fires of Germanization burned hottest in the 19th and early 20th centuries as Otto von Bismarck's Kulturkampf intensified the war against Polish identity. To Bismarck, Poland was an anomaly that had to be erased, a nation that had no place in the vision of a German-dominated Europe. The Polish language was banned in schools. Priests were persecuted for delivering sermons in Polish. Polish landowners were stripped of their property in favor of German settlers. The Prussian Settlement Commission, established in 1886, sought to flood Polish lands with German farmers to make the Polish countryside unrecognizable in its own homeland. But if Bismarck thought Poland would break, he miscalculated. The resistance only grew stronger. Children, like those in the Rzesznia school strike of 1901, refused to speak German in class, suffering beatings rather than betray their mother tongue. The Catholic Church, though attacked, became a bastion of Polish identity, ensuring that faith and nationality remained intertwined. Where Prussia sought to uproot Polish culture, the Poles dug deeper, their roots growing stronger with every assault. Then came the ultimate horror, the Nazi occupation of Poland during the Second World War. Germanization now turned from oppression to annihilation. This was no longer an attempt to change Polish identity, but to erase it altogether. Millions of Poles were expelled, murdered, or enslaved. The intelligentsia, the bearers of culture and history, were targeted first. Scholars, priests, artists, teachers, all those who could keep Poland alive in spirit were executed en masse. The Polish language was banned, Polish names erased, entire cities slated for German resettlement. Hitler's vision for Poland was one of extermination and servitude, a land stripped of its people, its heritage, its memory. And yet, even in the depths of this unspeakable horror, Poland resisted. The underground state, the Armia Krajowa, the secret schools and universities, all of these stood as testament to a people who refused to die. And when the Nazis fell, Poland emerged, wounded but unbroken, its culture still intact, its language still spoken, its soul still alive. Even after the war, when Poland fell under the shadow of Soviet influence, traces of Germanization lingered in the Western territories that had once been under Prussian and German control. Yet Poland, through sheer will, colonized these lands once more, ensuring that what had been taken would never again be lost. The history of Germanization is a story of oppression, but more than that, it is a story of defiance. It is the story of a nation that stood on the edge of oblivion and refused to fall. For every policy that sought to erase it, Poland found a way to survive. For every decree that sought to silence its voice, Poland found a way to speak. Against empires, against kings, against ideologies that declared its death, Poland endured. And in that endurance, in that unbreakable will, Poland proved something profound, that a nation is not defined by the borders drawn on a map, nor by the rulers who claim dominion over it. A nation is its people, its language, its memory. And as long as the people remember who they can never truly be conquered. Dziękuję. Like and subscribe if pierogi are better than bratwurst.